back to Change Ed.
Change it.
Your number one podcast that brings you all things education and is giving you coverage on this year's Olympic Games. I'm your host, Andrew Coonan, education consultant from Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Here with me is
Patrice Simachek, also out of the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. I don't always say it that way. I did have to think about it.
Did you just change it?
You had to think about your name?
I had to think about how I said it because you get into like a habit of like how you...
Patrice.
Oh, that's tough.
Oh, thank you. Delete it.
And also here with us is...
Tony Mary.
We're done. We're done. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to listen to a few episodes because I can guarantee you that's not how I always say it.
Tony Marabito, IU21, staff development facilitator, also fan of the biathlon.
All right, listen, I gotta talk about...
No, wait, I just watched a really good ping pong movie. It's not ping pong, it's table tennis. Is table tennis part of the Olympics? Not in the
Summer Olympics, yes.
Winter ones, but in the summer, I learned you're not allowed to call it. Yes.
Yeah, I figured you would.
You figured I would what? Like that movie?
Yeah.
I don't like him.
You don't like Chalamet?
No, I like Chalamet.
Oh, I don't like Chalamet.
I love him. He was very good.
Yeah.
Very good because I didn't like his character.
I didn't see it, but I know a lot about it. Yeah.
Is it a real person?
Oh, yeah.
He was like a real butthead.
Wow.
Like manipulator, like icky human.
So
he's a fictionalized version of Marty Reisman, by the way.
It was so good.
I was worried about who it was.
I figured you were worried, yeah, since you didn't say anything for minutes.
So I can move on.
No, it wasn't. He just said he likes the biathlon, right? Biathlon.
Yep. I'm a big.
No, I'm used to saying like
start biathlon guy. Yeah.
Triathlon is what I'm used to saying. So sorry. Anyway, that's what we think. Like, oh, that's a sport.
Can we be real about the Olympics? It's not the Olympics. We're all watching one sport ever, and that's curling. Anytime I turn on the Olympics, it's curling. We even had curlgate, right, with the finger and the pushing.
Oh, sure did. Everyone says these Canadians are very nice, but they may be cheaters.
I don't know. I didn't even see it, but I heard that it went down. It was pretty nasty.
I don't.
Words were spoken. Now, my understanding is that he was still behind the line when pushgate happened. Is that right?
Well, it depends.
No really knows.
It's a thick line. So is it behind where the line starts or is it behind where the line ends?
Oh, so
it's not just like a little 12-point line. It's like a solid 30 or 40-point line if we're talking font size.
There's a gray area that's actually green. It's a green area.
But I think the line's large enough to either fit almost all of the puck-looking thing in it. So when he pushed it, it wasn't past the farthest part of the line when they claim he pushed it. It wasn't past the farthest part of the line, but it was past the start part of the line.
He was accused of double touching the curling stone by making contact with the granite part of the stone with his finger after releasing it down the ice.
Because that's the part that I heard the rule was you can't touch the granite part.
Okay. And it sounds like double touching is not allowed either, obviously.
And I think his reaction to it, his explicit
what made you feel like he definitely did it. He knew what he was doing.
It was very un-Canadian. Like
it made me feel like, oh, he knew what he was doing because he's feeling some kind of way about it.
Well, if we're being honest with that reaction, that's happened to every single educator, probably more than once in the classroom.
No, all my students were angels. Are we talking about kids or teachers?
Both.
Yes.
All my kids were angels.
What is your favorite Winter Olympic sport?
I like ice dancing.
Okay.
I've been following that Ilya kid.
Mm-hmm. Quad God, that guy? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That poor young man, because he got 8th, I think, in something, but he's like over here being in like, he did a forbidden move, didn't he? To win everything. Backflip. No, the backflip's allowed now. It was forbidden
a little while ago.
It was forbidden like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. But he fell and came in 8th, but he was predicted to win like everything. And I can't even imagine the pressure that this poor kid. Like, and I say kid, I think he's not, maybe he's a teen. I don't really know. I should look up how old he is. But like the pressure that he's 21, the kid must have felt going in. One, he's deemed himself the quad god. That's all of his social media is. Mm-hmm. 2, like he was it by far. Like by far he was winning and then he fell. I feel bad for him.
I don't want to change the subject, but I also find this staggering because I was doing a math training the other day and one of my favorite math websites is slowrevealgraphs.com.
Yeah.
And like you have them do it in kind of like a notice and wonder about what the data is and then you unveil it. But one of them was something that has to do with countries and how much they pay their athletes for when they medal. So a quick Google search here in the Google machine says that Singapore pays $792,000 for a gold medal. Hong Kong, $768,000. How much do you think the U.S. pays a gold medalist?
$5.
Nothing.
$37,500. Wow. So some of these countries, Italy, my homeland, $214,000 for gold. So like some of these athletes this is their full-time job.
Yeah.
And I watched a series on Instagram the other day about the U.S. Olympic athletes and their day jobs. So it's kind of crazy how good we are at these sports, and it's not their full-time gig.
Is it also a supply and demand issue? I mean, the United States, if they were to give away almost $800,000 per gold, that would be a lot of money because we walk away with a lot of medals. Where some of these other countries you mentioned, it's a big deal if they get a medal. So it's, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, saying this is worth this much if we walk away with this.
Like Malaysia's paying, they're the third highest, 256,000. But how many medals do you see Malaysia winning?
Correct.
You know what I mean? So I asked Patrice, her favorite is ice skating.
I will turn on the Olympics as a background thing. That, I think that, and this isn't a problem, but the pace of it is different than I'm used to. Like I love to watch football and it could engage me for the entire day. This is like I'm doing something else. Let me turn it on and I can look over and watch it and come back. I enjoy the luge? Is that one of the things that they do?
The luge and the skeleton. I believe the skeleton is head first and the luge is
Okay, but can we circle back into the fact that we are an educational podcast, and what does this have to do with anything?
Well, here's some education for you. Summer Olympics versus the Winter Olympics. 5 billion unique viewers for the Summer Olympics. 2 billion unique viewers for Winter Olympics.
Oh, so people are kind of aligned with us then.
329 events with 32 sports in the summer. 116 events, 15 sports winter.
Wow.
This is the biggest disparity, I think. And because the viewership is not that far apart, 206 participating countries in the summer, only 91 in the winter.
Is that an access thing? Like it gets warm enough in a lot of places, but does it get cold enough for the wintry things?
You would bring up a very academic reason for this. It could be because like how large are these cold weather countries?
Like I'm wondering like the countries that are usually warmer consistently.
Right.
Like you're not going to see a whole lot, even from the States, you're not going to see a whole lot of skiers coming from Florida.
Yeah.
You could do all the summer sports in basically every state in the U.S.
So bring it back to education. Like you were saying, the Phillies just this week signed an 11-year-old shortstop for $1.8 million.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
An 11-year-old?
An 11-year-old. It's the youngest. Let me get
what
some data on here.
What is this 11-year-old going to do? They're going to hold on to him until he's...
I'm not exactly sure about what the contract
really play?
He's not going to play anytime soon, but it's called a Philly, pre-agreement with 11-year-old shortstop.
What happens if this kid gets injured? I'm sure there's a clause.
The Phillies have reached a pre-agreement with Venezuelan shortstop David Basabe for $1.8 million signing bonus. Basabe is now the youngest player in history to sign a pre-agreement with MLB organization. I'm not sure how this...
I'd assume they'd have to wait till he's like 18, right? Like an adult.
It says additionally, there's no guarantee that Basabe, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this young man's name correctly, actually will sign with the Phillies. Deals like this are not official, and international free agents flipping commitments are not uncommon. But so he just got a 1.8 signing bonus.
Like maybe.
He has a long way to go to develop his game. There's no telling how he stacks up with the rest of the 2031 signing class. But so far, he is the only one to reach any sort of agreement with the club.
Holy cow.
So if this is the youngest and this is the first, I'm sure other teams are not
far behind.
So I think one of the interesting connections is that our world is evolving. And as is evolving, what are we as educators trying to instill in our students? It hasn't changed from the standpoint of, like, as you said, those that are going to go pro. And if you're competing in the Olympics, at some level, you're a professional, right? Like you've really honed in your craft. But I would say for a U.S. athlete, you're chasing glory at some point more so than you are the funds. Although you might get signing bonuses, you might get contract deals to do different things and appear on things. But this is what our students are looking at, saying, I want to do that. I want to be on that stage. So what are we doing to help prepare them for their life? Because the statistics behind that, you probably know this better than I would. I mean, I think it's less than 1% of all college students who play football actually become professionals. It's like you have a funnel and you keep getting it smaller and smaller and smaller. The heart of humans is like, but I can do this, which is amazing. But the reality of it statistically is, it really gets small. Now for baseball, when you're looking at the whole world, not just in this area, not just in this area, in the United States, you're looking at the whole world now. that statistic becomes even more bleak. So how do we still empower students to say, yeah, this is amazing?
Now, maybe this is a stretch, but I'll go one step farther with education. I'm privileged enough to work at RIU with our eLearn 21 is what we call it, but it's online learning that we provide for all of our districts so students that attend a public school district can attend and still stay enrolled at their school, but have an online component to it.
Nice.
So for whatever reason, we have so many different, for illnesses, for travel because of parents' work, for their own sports. We have a bunch of parkettes, which is gymnastics up near us. Yeah. We have students that work at their family business, but want to still graduate from high school. So we offer those online classes. Some of those classes are very tough. There's also the 2-hour learning academy that's been all over the news recently. It's called Alpha School, where they condense a school day into 2 hours. And it's completely based on AI. And there's guides. The teachers are called guides, but it's completely personalized learning. And this starts as early as it's a K-12 curriculum. So our more and more students, because of how much they're getting paid in college, or even maybe an 11-year-old gets signed for baseball. And I'm sure if you have children that you know how intense youth sports has become. Are there going to be more students that are transitioning to an online education, more personalized, shorter days, so they can focus on a skill or trait, or maybe start even business early? Like we've done this warehouse factory style, 30 kids in a classroom, sitting in desks for years and years and years. So is this a new shift that's going to happen?
I think it would be interesting to look at it from a gifted and advanced learner perspective. Like I remember my son Micah, when he was in kindergarten, COVID hit, and he said to me, "Mom, I can do school in an hour. Why do I have to sit here for 6?" And so as a kindergartner, so he already had all these skills. So when we're thinking about this kind of shift in our learning and the shift in schooling, is it something that we should consider for students, like actually compacting the learning, or pre-assessing and figuring out what you need, or doing all of these things? Because maybe it doesn't have to be to get into an athletic field. Maybe it's so kids could get into college sooner, so they could become doctors faster, or physicists, or all of these other things that they could possibly be. I think that it's a huge cultural shift, one, to be able to trust an AI bot, to be able to do the things that we as humans do. I think there is some concern for the lack of humanity that comes along with having a teacher in the space, because I think there's also some things to be said about what social emotional learning takes place when you are in the space with other adults or other humans or other people. So I think it's not just about the academics. And so I get concerned about compacting schools so much that they don't have access to the other social emotional pieces that help them become humans, because you can know everything you need to know and really struggle with the human piece. I see it a lot in kids where they're isolated, they're just playing games all the time, or they're online, or they're just in their spaces, which is fine to an extent. But like, I'm also seeing the inability to interact with other humans in a positive way.
I completely agree. And I think the AI thing I was stretching it there. Like, I don't know.
No, but I think it's definitely a possibility. And I think it's actually beneficial academically.
I agree. So let me tell you about this Unbound Academy real quick. I just want to get your take. No, I feel like
No, I love this. This is fun.
Different report. Okay, so here we go. AI-powered academy. So students spend 2 hours on adaptive software using 25-minute sprints, Pomodoro technique, to master subjects like math, science, and language arts. Okay. The guide model is used. So instead of lecturers, human guides provide motivation, social, emotional support, and monitoring of student progress. Okay. Afternoon activities. The remaining day is dedicated to workshops, sports, arts, real-world skills, aiming to reduce, they call it academic burnout. And this is being done right now at Alpha School. It's a private school, and proposed at Unbound Academy, which is a virtual charter. So what do you think of that model?
I kind of love that model. Honestly, it depends on the kids. I love the model. I mean, maybe it doesn't depend on the kids. I love the idea of this model, because if you're getting all of the things academically that you need in 2-hour sprints, one, the attention span for most of our kids is super, super low. So getting it in a condensed version of things. And then what I like the most is if the second half of the day is real world skills, problem-based learning, doing all of these other things. Now it's shifting to, I really am kind of sad that my oldest decided not to go to the Western Center, because I feel like that's where a lot of really good learning is taking place, because it's hands-on, like put it in practice kind of stuff. So I think that if we shifted, I actually kind of like it, because it's actually, you're learning something and then you're doing something, which is what we've always talked about here. Like, you learn something, you do something. And I think that if they're applying their learning differently in the afternoon than just sitting and lecturing, I actually think you're going to see scores skyrocket.
And you get that relevant content, right? Like, so you're going to learn about math.
Then we're going to go
apply math. Right. Which is ideally what we're trying to do as teachers in a classroom every day too.
I mean, it's a huge shift. It's a huge shift. Mm-hmm. And I hear all the time, especially at the elementary levels, I don't have time to teach science because I'm so focused on teaching literacy skills. I'm teaching the basics of math. But I always wonder a little bit, do we actually know what the kids do and don't know? And are we targeting their learning? And if we targeted their learning a little differently, maybe we wouldn't have to spend so much time teaching ELA and math skills because we'd be applying it in science and social studies.
And I don't know the data behind it. Like this has been around for a little while now, maybe like 2 or 3 years. I'm curious to see, like, are they learning faster than kids in regular education? Are they What do the grade levels look like? Like, are we finishing first grade early? If it's adaptive software, are we meeting the needs then for those students that struggle and for the students that are exceeding?
And then if it's adaptive, if they're at significantly different places in the morning, what does their afternoon look like? Or are those less grade levels and more bands where like you're going based on your skills, which is what we try to say MTSS is really about, right? Like if we're targeting their skills in the way they actually working out. I don't hate it.
I would love to see it in action. I would love to go visit one day.
And to your point, I would love to see what the data looks like.
It sounds like it's uniquely poised for a lot of things that we talk about that we need to consider different models. We need to look at things differently, and that, you know, we have this constant challenge of time, and they found a way to embrace that differently. But also it sounds like a big project-based learning model. And, you know, if the focus is not, we're going to make you a professional of this, right? But the focus is, we're going to learn all these skill sets and put them into action through this, what you're doing. And you pick what you want to do and you do it that way. There's a lot there.
I think that's the key right there. I think this could lead to careers down the road that people didn't even know about.
We're teaching teamwork differently instead of creating an artificial scenario in a classroom, which can be done. But if you're not able to do that, well, now I'm working on a team and we have this goal and we're trying to complete something. We always talk about relevancy and meeting students where they are. So this sounds like it has that opportunity to be able to do that. And I think that it's also hitting on these skills that we have been talking about that are so important in this world of AI. We need to know how to be human beings. We need to know how to interact with each other and value each other so that when we're important critical decision points, we're connected to other people and we understand the impacts of those decisions versus going through life isolated. And then you're left with this important decision that impacts potentially millions of lives. And you're like, well, I don't really have a lot of relationships, right? It's important to bind us together. So finding those commonalities is important. And I think it's not, which I thought I was hearing from you, it's not just about the sports. There could be other things that you're passionate about,
arts,
that you get into. And that's really important for our students too.
Including the arts. Like that's the piece that also gets cut really quickly is the music and the art and all of it. Like
everything that we're cutting with public funds, they're trying to
But everything we're cutting with public funds have been shown in research that if you learn music, you do better. It's so frustrating.
So we went from Olympics to AI Academy.
Well, because it makes sense. Like if you think about it, a lot of our potential future Olympians would use something like this to be able to become better at their craft. So I see. It wasn't a far leap.
Conversations I've definitely had is that wouldn't it be interesting if what we do for our elite athletes is something that was available to everyone? How would that change the world?
I kind of feel that way about when we talk about in Gifted too. Like we give a lot of kids in Gifted a lot of opportunities that if we gave it to all of our kids, I think it would transform the way we do things.
I want to throw another thought out there, and I don't even know if it's a complete thought, but we all know that it will be a good thought. So I'm going to put it out there anyway. I can tell you're both not paying attention because neither one of you commented on that.
What did you say?
I said, I'm going to throw a thought out there. I don't know if it's going to be complete. However, we all know it's going to be a good thought because I'm the one giving it.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. Even our listeners are like, those fools weren't listening, or they would have jumped right all over that. Anyway, what I was going to say was,
I'm trying to be quiet.
As educators, we, by and large, generalizing educators, we are rule followers. We follow the rules. So when we talk about the curlgate that happened.
The what?
Curlgate.
Oh, I thought you said Colgate. I'm like, that's toothpaste.
No, they are one of our sponsors, but I'm not mentioning them right now. Anyway, when curlgate happened, that could be very much seen as like how can I push the limit as much as possible? So there are individuals, I think a lot of our athletes who, okay, these are rules I have to play in, but how can I push that limit as far as humanly possible? Where often for us as educators, we're like, no, back up from that line. No. That's the rule. We can't do that. So in our work with students, are we encouraging them all to be rule followers, or are we encouraging them to, we say think outside the box, to expand beyond that? And what does that look like?
I think a lot of our teachers actually are, at least the ones I come in contact with, maybe because I like to deal with the riffraff, but I think they do like to push the limits. It's just that we've been conditioned, and there's a stigma for being the one that pushes the limits and pushing the boundaries. And if you are okay and very secure in who you are and what you're doing, then who cares? But I think that it's a fine line to walk, similar to your curlgate example. But I think that I know that teachers want to do what's best for kids. And what we've been programmed for a long time to believe is what's best for kids is all of this data-driven instruction that's using these curricular materials. And again, there's nothing wrong with using data. I think it's actually really informative to help you move forward. My struggle is only sticking to the materials that are in front of you and not allowing for any of that little touch on the granite.
One of my biggest pet peeves of being a 4th and 5th grade teacher was, here's my Envision textbook for math. I have to get through all 15 chapters for the PSSA. If some students don't get it, I have to keep going.
You have to move on anyway. Yeah. Same page, same date.
In this, and now I'm completely dove into this whole alpha advantage here. They progress students on only advance if they have mastery in a subject, and then they go on. There's no grade bands and time-based progression like in our normal public schools.
That's what I think the whole idea behind the adaptive piece is huge.
Right.
Which is what I think all of our teachers want to do.
For sure.
But we can't do it in a 30-kid classroom without adaptive things to be able to meet us there. So because the constraints and all these other things, that's what we talk about. Good differentiation is, but because of the way our system is set up, it's really hard for us to navigate out of that. And without the adaptive piece to actually know where they really are.
Because it's very difficult to adapt for 30 children and 30 different, minimum of 30 different needs.
It's hard to adapt for 6 different tracks of kids, let alone.
It's hard for me to adapt for Andrew.
Well, that's a special case. So that's really hard for everybody. I think his teacher just gave up on him. That's why they had him read the same book.
I also think we can't have this whole conversation about how awesome this alpha school would be without also saying that it's not free.
Yeah.
So I would be crazy if I didn't mention the next part as far as cost, because our teachers are working with kids that are attending school for free.
Yeah.
So after doing some research, there's about 20 schools across the U.S. and they generally cost between $40,000 to $75,000 per year, depending on location.
Okay.
Now there is a micro school option where if it's not available in your area, it costs anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000. But then I feel like there is a guide assigned to you, but you're doing almost kind of like a homeschool type situation. I don't have more facts than that behind it, but essentially what we're looking at here is between 40 and 75,000, which is
per kid,
per child,
per year.
It definitely impacts the conversation. It needs to be part of the conversation as well. They have different, let's say, limitations and resources available to them than the vast majority of those who are in education.
Correct. Yeah. And that comes with, the AI adaptive software that comes with all the materials and whatnot for the workshops. That's the second half of the day. They have also a one-on-one coach 1 time per week with students where they get to spend the whole day with that coach working on whatever is needed. So I'm not trying to say that the 45 to 75 is worth it. I haven't seen one of these schools up and running, but I'm just saying it's very intriguing, and we can't have the discussion about free and public education without adding that these private schools there's a reason.
Point being, like, that's double or triple what we might have access to on average, right? Like, that's not even.
But I also think
accurate
with the advances of AI.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get there one day, or at least do some kind of adaptability software or something to meet kids where they are and take a little bit of stress off the teacher of trying to meet the needs of every kid.
And again, I think if we are able to meet kids where they're at with the adaptive piece, I think teachers might enjoy teaching again if they have the ability to do more of the quote unquote fun stuff later on. That's actually applying things. Like, that's why a lot of people got into teaching to begin with. If the AI is there, if we're comfortable using AI, because that's also a systems shift, and then moving us away from, which we've been talking about a lot, of direct explicit instruction where a teacher's standing in front of the classroom and just talking or just trying to impart knowledge based off of the materials they have, then I think if we can make some of those shifts, then we can be a little more flexible in what we do and don't do in the afternoons, or vice versa.
Right. And we can look to other systems, other things to see how this might play out. If this is something viable, it will continue to grow and the cost will continue to drive down. It will change. So a good example might be, making this up at this point, but like Teslas were very expensive originally, and their cost kind of came down and it became more affordable. And I don't know if they are affordable, but I guess what I'm saying is
there was competition.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, that's actually when we were talking about supply and demand, that's actually a good part of the capitalism where, if right now this is kind of the only model that's out there, once others get a hold of this idea, it might start to impact the overall.
And I think some
cost.
of the resources that we have are kind of going there. I feel like there's a lot of adaptive, at least assessments, to be able to figure out where kids are. I mean, the CDTs are adaptive to figure out where kids are based off of Pennsylvania standards. So I think we're getting there in terms of the resources. I think the bigger and the harder part is going to be the systems change that's going to need to take place, because it's a massive, massive shift. We've been teaching this way since public ed in the U.S. started.
Gemini already released that guided learning where kids can type in what they want to learn and it'll walk them through step by step. So that's the free version that we all get if we're a Google school. So it's coming. I wish it was here already, as I always, because I'm very impatient, but I think just something to strive for maybe in the future without having to charge $40,000 to $75,000.
And I think with the amount of time that it takes for systems to change, it's important for us as educators to already have a good vision of what's out there and what's on the horizon, so that we're prepared and so that we don't actually slow the system down further. Because again, it takes a while. If the system is ready to move and we're like, whoa, you can't do that, then we're not ready. So a way that we can help accelerate it from where we're at is if we are forewarned is forearmed. So you're ready for the possibilities out there. We're knowledgeable so that we can be helpful as the system prepares to adapt. Tony, I want to hear your favorite moment in curling from this year's Olympics.
Probably the last 15 minutes that I just watched with you. Do you want to hear my final thought right now?
Tony, what is your final thought on curlgate?
I won't comment. I already called out the Canadians earlier. I don't want to do it again.
It's just not nice.
Yeah,
we have listeners in Canada, so
salt in the wound.
I'm a Philadelphia fan, so I can take it. My final thought is still a huge mass start biathlon fan. That's my number one. And as of right now, Norway has the most medals, and that's of February 19th. So go USA. Hopefully we can make a little bit of comeback here.
Go USA.
Patrice, what is your final thought?
That's not how I say it. Is it? Really?
I mean, I think somebody should listen to his podcast and see how you say your name.
I think that the future of education is both exciting and scary at the same time. I think there's going to be, or needs to be, a lot of change that takes place. And change sometimes is exciting and scary. I think our kids are different. I think our way of teaching should be different to meet their needs and to find them. And if we can lean into some of these tools in terms of adaptive AI or figuring out how we can meet the kids' needs so that they can either accelerate or dive deeper into their sports or their arts or all of these other things to encourage them to be more well-rounded humans, I think that for me sounds like a really exciting place to go.
A lot of what we talked about today is a very interesting cart horse scenario, which is leading who? Is the cart pushing the horse, or is the horse pulling the cart? And as we talked about it, using football as an example, it was a small paradigm shift. But even in this conversation, when you said Tony, they used to be student athletes and now they're athlete students, that is a shift. So for systems work, what is that implication on its way from the collegiate level, working its way backwards? A lot of times the work that's done at the K-12 arena impacts up into universities. And now this is one of those things that can kind of be reversed. So how are coaches preparing their athletes for that arena? And now you're talking about business in a different way than you were before when it comes to football. So there could be a lot of positive things that come out of it. There could be a lot of concerns and challenges that come out of it too, but it has an impact on us as educators. So the more that we're informed, the more that we are knowledgeable about what's happening out there in the world, and we're having these conversations, we're engaging in this discourse, will empower us. When those things are considered within the system and they're looking to make the changes, the more knowledgeable we are, the more that we can provide constructive input that will help shape whatever those changes might look like in the future. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you continue watching curling. It's on all the time. Make sure that you are tuning into us. Keep listening. Share it out. Like and subscribe. And Tony, what's the last word? You get it. Go.
Email No.
You've never given me the last word. I'm completely don't know what to say. Email us or fan mail us on Spotify or Apple.
Be on the look for
You got this.
New email address where you can email us directly. It's in the works. Get excited. It'll come out soon.
Whoop, whoop.
We can make that right now.
It will come out by the end of this episode.
It's now. We just made it.
We just made it.